What's up, guys? I'm Benson Boone, hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Benson, man, what is up, dude? You are taking over the world with your music, and I'm super excited to be part of this journey early on. I know you've already got a lot going on, but I feel like I'm still early on the stage, and I just want to congratulate you with the success so far with your two singles.
Thank you so much. I would very easily say you are early on. So it is like I'm 8 months in, and it's been great.
Yeah, I think your publicity team like really caught it when I was like, please, as soon as possible, because I feel like he's gonna blow up in like the next week or so.
Well, I appreciate your faith in me. I hope I get there.
So I really love your voice. I love your lyrics, and I just love the sounds that we hear on your music. Um, there's so many different dynamics when it comes to the sounds, but there's also so many different dynamics when it comes to your voice. So dive me in and talk to me about like your creative process. Do you have all these ideas in mind on as soon as you're starting to write these songs, or is this something that like the lyrics start and then they start to tell you what the melody is going to sound like and where your pockets are going to be and what kind of vocal ranges you're going to be hitting throughout this track?
Yeah. So when I write, and I'm positive everyone writes differently, but I just kind of play around on the piano and I find chords that I like, and when I do, I just hum melodies, and like the whole session I'm always like shooting ideas out, like melodical ideas. I'm always thinking of something new. And so like the whole time I have to record the whole thing, and I always forget to. Um but I just like, it's like idea after idea after idea. And then once I get like my best ones, I gather them together and I kind of just write lyrics to them, and that's kind of how it goes. And some like with Ghost Town, I mean, that's what we did. We found like that and just went for it.
Now, during this process, are you a scatter or are you a hummer?
Is a scatterer like saying random words?
Pretty much, yeah.
That I'm definitely. I always sing random words, and I like sometimes it gives me ideas for like vowels, what I want the vowel to sound like, what feels most natural. But yeah, I'm like saying random words the whole session.
Now, I love that for the new single Room for Two, which is yet another masterpiece. I love that you worked with Phil Plested as well as Jorgen, two incredible songwriters and producers at the same time. And how did this, first of all, how did this happen so early on in your career, and what was that experience like for you?
It was so fun. Jorgen and Plested are just two wonderful guys, and as I'm starting to work with more people, like I get the opportunity to write with Jorgen, and I get the opportunity to write with Plested, and then I get this opportunity to write with them both at the same time. But like, it's just so fun when you find talented people that are just like a good hang. It's just fun to be around them. The writing process was great. So like, yeah, it's that aspect of this industry, like the writing sessions, at least when you're in with the right people, is like the most enjoyable thing of all.
I feel like those two songwriters are probably one of the best if you're trying to get vulnerable with your music. How is that comfort level with them when you're kind of talking about what you want to write about, and how easy was it for you to just open up with them as soon as you got into the room?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's kind of weird. Like you basically go into a studio with people you don't know, and you're like pouring your heart out, and it's like, it's scary, but I know I'm getting used to it. But like that part is always like, it's weird. Like you get into this session and you talk with them, you're like, hey, I'm Benson Boone. Like, I grew up so and so. I played sports, blah blah blah. Like, you kind of tell them about yourself, and then you just dive in, and it's like, this is what I'm going through right now. I feel like we should write a song about this, and you kind of tell them like what you've been going through, or like what someone else is going through, or whatever you're writing about. And yeah, like that's the scary part of music, but it's like that's the most needed part, because if you can't portray your feelings, like, then the song's not there.
That's very true. Now, as far as Room for Two goes, what kickstarted that initial writing process? Was it a melody, or was it an actual lyric that you had like roaming around in your head?
That one actually was a lyric, and we were all like, we were in the room, and I was like, I kind of want to do like start with, like with a lyric, and go based off that. And so we were just sitting there thinking for a bit, and we didn't come up with anything. We started talking about like what's going on in my life, and I told them, my family was going through a crazy time, and they're like, well, we could write about that or start about that. And yeah, and then plus it was like, we could do something with two, like something. And then we're all like, room for two, we could do room for two. And we're like, okay, cool. And then we just like started off there. And so that's like kind of how it all started.
It's crazy how you can just throw ideas, and like at first they don't make sense, and then they start to kind of develop as you can continue to write the music. Was that just an initial like, all right, that's the title, or was that like Room for Two, that's a good lyric to add to the song?
Yeah, it was. I think it was more of a title. Yeah, like we heard it and we're like, okay, that's probably a title. Yeah, we could do that. And so like we tried to write based on that lyric.
Now, throughout this track, you give us so many different vocal ranges and so many different registers. What was that process like for you during the recording process? And was majority of this just you naturally singing, or was it you trying to test out different vocal ranges to figure out what fit where for the song?
That's it. That's another great question. So yeah, for this one, I produced it with JT, and JT is a wonderful human. Or sorry, I'm saying JT. Sorry, Jorgen. My bad. Jorgen is a wonderful human, and like just he's really good at like, he has a really specific ear to like something that I guess I wouldn't think of, things that I wouldn't think of. He just is on top of, like he's really good at just finding things not very many people hear, but like it's kind of ear candy, and then he just throws it in there. And so when I recorded, he would be like, think of so and so like while you're singing this, and I do it in parts. I sing like the verse and the pre-chorus all in one, and then the chorus all in one, and it just like it helps when like he's kind of giving me some direction on like how to control the emotion in my voice. And yeah, it is like kind of a vocally just all over the place song. But yeah, he would give me a little bit of inspiration, and yeah, I rolled with it that way. And that's something I've never done before. Like no one else does that. And so it was great.
Was there a particular vocal range that really kind of challenged you during this process, or even still does challenge you when you sing it?
The bridge. Yeah. The oh, it's like, it's so high. It's so high. And then singing that was so hard. Oh man, it still is. But I'd like, as I'm practicing it more and more, I'll hopefully get more used to it.
What register do you feel like you're most comfortable in when you're singing?
It's a great question. Obviously I have a higher range. I don't sing low very well, like really low. So I say like kind of where, oh, that's such a good question. like not super high, but kind of just medium singing. Like I kind of like like where it's starting to push it a little bit, but it's not something where I'm like I have to strain my voice every time to hit a note.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where my voice is strongest.
Is that what your go-to is whenever you just start when you look at a lyric and you just start singing it? Is that your go-to register, or do you usually try and go something higher?
Usually like I like when I'm writing, I go lower actually, just so I don't blow up my voice.
Yeah.
Because like in my like when I started doing sessions, I would sing so hard like while I was writing it, just so I could see what it was going to sound like. And then when we got to recording it, I was like, well, I don't have any voice left. Like, yeah, I definitely have to dial it down.
What did you have to go through in order to finally realize like you got to dial it down? Because I feel like it's dangerous having all of these dynamics that you do with your vocals.
But it took like 10 songs that I just biffed the recording on to be like, dude, okay, I have to stop singing while I'm writing. Just like I just gotta hum or like mumble. Like I can't be doing this because I am blowing all these recordings. So it took way too many times before I realized I'm like, I just need to shut up.
So you got to co-write with Plested and Jorgen, as we mentioned earlier. You do have a co-sign from Dan Reynolds. So have you had the opportunity to co-write with him? He's another lyricist that I really love, and like I think that would be amazing to have that kind of collaboration.
Yeah, and I mean we've written together, and he's a phenomenal writer. But the time that I wrote with him, it was like literally my first 3 days writing. So he's seen like the very beginning of my writing, like quite literally the first 3 days of me ever writing music. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'd love to write with him more, and that'll definitely happen in coming years and months. But yeah, like we haven't like written something. I mean, I was definitely surprised where like the first 3 days, the song I wrote the first day was like obviously not the best because it was I'm writing, but the 2 days after were actually great. But yeah, like I would be excited to see what we would write now because now I know I'm confident with it, and I know kind of how to write now, and obviously he does too. So yeah, but yeah, I guess I'm just waiting to get back in with Dan.
What do you think challenged you the most during this process? Was it Phil, or was it Jorgen?
That's a good question. I think probably Jorgen, but it's because he was producing. Like he had to be a little more nitpicky of things because he's like putting the whole together. But I like the balance of like Jorgen, like a lot of questions and making sure it's what I want in the production. And Plested understands that like that it's my song, and he is very like he caters to that a lot, where he won't try and interfere and like make it his song. But also like I obviously want him to speak up because he helped write it. Like so it partially is totally his song. So he would just give his input every once in a while. But Plus is just such a nice guy. They're both just so nice. So we didn't really have any problems with like, no, we want this, but no, we want that. It just kind of came naturally.
You came out with your debut single, Ghost Town. It blew up. It's still giving you so much traction. And then you come up with another single, Room for Two, which is also doing the same. What, moving forward, as you consider a third single or you consider a body of work, like what kind of pressure does that add to you as a songwriter, as an artist, and especially as a singer?
Like obviously sometimes I do feel pressure of like, well, since my first song did so well, now every song has to do that well. But really, like, I am on my own path. I don't really know what it's going to be. Like, I can only see a couple feet ahead. But I'm just doing my best. Like, I will always put my best foot forward, and I will always try my best to get my song to the top. But like, I guess I just understand that there's not much else I can do besides writing my best music and pushing it as far as I can. So like that takes the pressure off a little bit, where it's like, if I'm doing my best and really my best, then what happens happens.
And it's crazy that you said you're still new at this writing, at this whole writing deal. Since you are a new artist and you have, again, going back to your incredible like dynamics, how are you learning to take care of that voice, and how are you learning to control it at the same time?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I'm just starting to understand my voice more, because like, I mean, I haven't been singing for very long, but especially like this on this scale of singing, where it's like every day in the studio I'm singing my butt off. And so I'm starting to understand my voice, and like, if I like different ways to sing, I started seeing a vocal coach. It's like I'm just taking care of myself now, in a way that I think is very healthy. I mean, any singer should do the same, and I should have started doing it earlier. But yeah, so I'm learning to understand my vocal cords now.
Amazing, man. Well, I'm excited to finally get to reunite with you. And I'm, like I said, your name is going to become a household name really soon. I see it happening. To close us off, out of these two songs that you've released so far, what has been your proudest moment?
Oh, probably probably Ghost Town passing Adele in Norway. That was like it went Norway, and I was like, that is the coolest thing. And it still is that way. So
I have no words. That's awesome.
I know, like I say that, it's like it was crazy. Like, and yeah, it's, I'm not complaining at all. But yeah, I absolutely love Norway. So first number one.
Yeah, well, I guess whenever you get ready for tour, you have to for sure make a trip out there. So awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me. Congratulations with the success of both your singles so far, and looking forward to more from you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.